Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols and I'm here to bring you your Nichols Worth, and today we're going to do part 2 of my series on rebinding on a budget. On the first one I talked about some options you could leave off in order to save a little bit of money, but there's another way to save some cash when getting a rebind, and that is taking a risk on a new rebinder. Now the reason this is a risk is because a lot of times they don't have their craft sorted out. They don't have all the details ironed out. There's some things they don't know yet. They're learning on the go. And I've got a few examples of some very early work. Some of them are epic, and then some of them you see a tiny little mistake here or there. And if you're willing to live with these tiny little mistakes while these people learn, there's a couple of things you can gain from this. You can get a really nice Bible for an affordable price because number one, they're learning, and number two, they don't have a huge client list and a wait list built up, so they don't have to raise their prices in order to drive the demand down. And that's not the only reason they raise their prices. They raise their prices because they also get better at their skill and they're worth more in the sense of value. But here are some rebinders that I caught very early. Now some of these you're going to notice are veterans at this time, but there's one of them that doesn't even do it anymore for this season, and that is Mike Harden with Rugged Cross. Now if you look on the back here, you'll see this is his 23rd rebind, so very early in the process was this for him. Now, fortunately, Mike was very good from the jump. His measurements are very solid. His stitch work. Stitch work is often a place where early rebinders will struggle, so that's something you want to pay attention to. And if they're early in the game, one thing you may want to do is just go ahead and forego stitching. That'll save you a little bit of money, and just let them have a tool line here just to dress up that edge. Another thing that early rebinders often struggle with is they don't have good stampers. They have a cheaper stamper, and that doesn't let them hit that spine so deep. Now, Mike didn't have that problem. He had a nice stamper. Another area where they'll struggle often is gilt lines. Now this is one area that Mike struggled a little bit. Number one, whatever he used faded over time, but his corner work looks really good. And also on the back one, you'll see that when he went around the corner here, he got just a little bit off. You can see like a little extra line there. Those are all things that happen when someone is learning. Art gilding is also another area where they tend to struggle. Mike did not in this area. Very nice art gilding. These are things that are possible that you're going to see a little bit of rookie mistakes here and there. But it's also a great chance to get a beautiful Bible at a very low cost. Sometimes you can get a brand new rebinder to hook you up for $200, some of them even under $200. So that is one way to save some money, but just know there's risk involved. Another new rebinder that I trusted early on was Rex Rebinds. Now Rex Rebinds was on another level very early, so this is really not a good example of that because his stitching, his tool work, his spine work, everything was just so on point. He immediately went for broke and bought the good stamper. This doesn't happen often with an early rebinder. Now one area he did change on is he does the butt edge method now, where early on he did the fold over method. But you can see those corners look good. And this is sharp work. And then this isn't a good example of his early art gilding either because I didn't have him do it because I had this sent off to Bezalel Book Art to get speckled. But this one, this guy was good. Now, another thing with new guys is often they're hobbyists, so they're going to be very slow as well. Now, ICA, you know, ICA is probably one of the top names in the game right now, but I caught him super early. This was really early in his rebind work. He was willing to give me a really nice deal on this Bible, and you can see he didn't have the rounded spines worked out yet. This is a super flat spine, but his spine work is pretty solid. Also, he didn't have that deep stamper, so his stamping isn't as deep as you would see in some rebinders, but his stitch work, which is actually done by his wife, is on point. His tool work was on point. You can see a little sloppy place here and there where he was just learning, but as far as good work, this is good work early on. And he also was able to experiment with some leathers. This is a kid skin leather. This is going to be a very stiff Bible. And he wasn't comfortable doing art gilding yet when he did this Bible for me. So those are some things that you're going to learn along the way as a rebinder. Another example of someone who is still pretty early, but she's already starting to get backed up and she's already getting to a place where she's probably going to have to raise her prices, and that is Flores Rebinds. And one thing that's unique about her is she does a glue down, what's also known as a paste down liner. So she pastes the liner over the fold in the goat skin leather. So that's a really neat thing. But her spine work is excellent. It appears that she has one of the nice stampers. Her tool work is out of this world. One area she struggled early on is her measurements are just a little bit wonky. You can see that going uphill just a little bit. And her corners aren't quite as tight as someone with the experience. But again, phenomenal price on this thing. This was a great deal. You need to catch her now because she's still kind of new, but it's going to get a point where she's 6, 8, 10 months behind, and then you're going to have to pay her a higher price for it. This is Reformed and Rebound. Now, Reformed and Rebound is probably one of the top 10 guys in the industry at this moment, but I caught him super duper early. Now, what was the thing with him? It was the stamper. This is the thing that gets a lot of guys. His stamper doesn't go very deep into the spine, but if you're gentle with it, that's not going to matter. His tool work was on point. The talent was obviously there. Also, this was his first time stitching, and when you look at where he stopped and started, you can see it gets a little bit messy right in here. See that double stitching there? That's just a tad messy. You can see it get kind of wonky on the inside here and there. But that's part of the gamble of letting these guys learn, is they give you a good deal. And now he's one of the top guys in the industry. His measurements are good. His gilt lines are good. His corners, look at those corners. And this is early on. He is way better at this now than he was then. And then one last one. This is a fairly new guy as well. And this is Redbird Bibles. And he does some amazing work at this point, but I caught him really early. One thing you will notice is here he made just a tiny little mistake on the spine, where that Oxford Hollow, he let it overlap a little bit, and there's just that little bit of a line on the spine. But I'm also going to show you where his early work is excellent. Number one, his corner work is fabulous. And look at those gilt lines. I believe those are the best hand-done gilt lines in the business. That is absolutely amazing. And then, of course, I had Bezalel Book Art go ahead and redo this block. Now, if you want to know a quick run through of what each block is, just in case you're curious, this is the NASB 2020 Stridon from Lockman. Really nice. This is the out-of-print NKJV wide margin paragraph format with the inside column references. This is the NLT Select with the indexes. You can't get this block anymore. It's the same one as the Caxton. This is premier block right here. This is the ESV Diadem. This was the premium edition, so it does have the red letters, and it also has the Apocrypha. So this is a really nice Cambridge block here. This is also out of print. This is the Trinitarian Bible Society's mid-size Windsor, and at the end it has the metrical Psalms. This is printed by Royal Youngblood. This is really cool. And then last but not least, this is probably a 60-year-old text block of the ASV, similar to the long primer, thus called the long primer. You want to save some money on a rebind? You catch these guys early, you're going to take a gamble, but chances are you're going to get a really sharp Bible, and chances are you're almost certainly going to improve it at a lower price. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.